Today I have my special guest. She's a physician, triple board certified, and of course, an author to the author of the book Fat to Fabulous, no other than Dr. Santha Naidoo. Welcome to Book 101, Dr. Santha, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Absolutely, Daniel. I'm so excited because there's nothing more that I love talking about is uh, going from fat to fabulous in my journey and my message to the world. So, as you mentioned, I'm a triple board certified physician, family medicine, integrative and holistic medicine, and obesity medicine. And in my practice, I'm a concierge physician that focuses not just on health optimization, but also life optimization. I founded the 100 Club, which is about living to 100% of our potential, ideally to 100 years and beyond, healthfully. So, a lot of people think my book is a method of weight loss, but really it's not. It's going to fabulous, not from just a physical looks perspective, but how do you feel? How do we really make the best out of life and the best out of our experiences and stories?
Dr. Santa Naidu, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And tell us, how does your book differ from other weight loss or self-help books?
This is my journey through life. This is my stories, really from childhood, very young childhood, to where I am now. And the journey, the things that I have learned, and how these different stories shaped my own journey, and some of the things that I've learned and implemented. And it really tells, why is it that I'm the person I am today? How is it that I'm able to build life, build my dreams, and live my dreams, but also how it's shaped my practice of medicine? Because I don't believe medicine is all about here's a diagnosis and here's a prescription. It's more about how do we maintain health? How do we optimize health? How can we be our best selves?
Yes, definitely. Can you share a pivotal moment of your journey that shaped the book's message?
One of the most pivotal stories that I didn't realize at all throughout my life until actually I sat down to write this book is one of the first stories that I tell. And it is that when I was 2 years old, I saw a commercial on TV for Kit Kat bars in South Africa where I lived at the time. I want kitty cat. I need kitty cat. I need it. I threw this tantrum. And my grandfather had scoured the city of Durban to find me a box of Kit Kat bars, and he finally did, and it made me so happy. That's one of the first memories I have, and unfortunately, that's when I started struggling with my weight was from young childhood and through adulthood. It's one of the reasons that I am triple board certified to help myself. I had to become a master in how the body works to help myself. Well, a couple of years later, my grandfather had committed suicide. I remember that my parents woke us up in the middle of the night, packed us into the car, and we drove to my grandparents' house. And it was just so different from every other time. I vividly remember the air was different. There was fear, there was panic. I had no idea what it meant, right?
Hmm.
And my grandfather had taken his life, and within 48 hours, his body was cremated, his ashes scattered in the vast Indian Ocean. And it's only really, it honestly, in the last 5 years that I had realized what impact that story, those stories have had on my life and everything that I do, who I am as a human being, who do I put forward, and why is it that certain things I gravitate towards or I value. And it comes from those very early childhood experiences and the memories that I have with my grandfather. And so for me, those were pivotal stories.
Truly, truly encouraging and empowering, Dr. Lasanta. And Who is your ideal reader and what do you hope they take away from your book?
Frankly, every human being is the ideal reader. And I say this because my hope is that every individual can have the opportunity or take the opportunity to look at their own stories in their lives. I had no intention. When I started writing this, started writing it for myself. And the reason was to start understanding myself and making changes in my own life. And I actually shared some of the stories with my patients, and some of my patients were the ones to say, Dr. Naidu, you need to publish this because these are the things that help other people to be able to see from a different perspective. So the goal is that people can read it, but also think about their own lives, their own stories. My children are 7 and 9, and even they have read bits and pieces of it and have been able to start thinking about what's going on for them. And that's really what I hope, is that it invites people to think about their own stories and maybe assess their perspective and consider changing it in some arenas.
Definitely. And let's talk about the personal journey and transformation. What is the biggest mental or emotional challenge you face during your transformation?
The biggest challenge was challenging my beliefs, because we go through life with the beliefs that we start off with from childhood, right? That we, maybe through our faith, through our community, through our families, we start developing a lot of ideas and beliefs, and we try to live life to that. And one of the things that I really did in many aspects of life was challenge those beliefs and pay attention to what is the value, right? What is important in terms of this thing that I do, or why do I believe this? And what if the opposite were true, or something different were true? And I started playing around with that and experimenting in life, and realized, you know what? I can really formulate what's important to me as long as I know these are my core values, these are my goals, this is who I want to be and who I want to put forward. And once I was able to do that, it really transformed how I lived my day-to-day life, even to the point of, how does dinner look like in our family every day? So one example of this is, and this applies to my weight loss journey, but even the mindset journey, right? Was at one point, I used to cook a fresh meal for my family every single day. We would sit together at the dinner table every single day. This was something I grew up with. It was a strong value. But in that action, what was happening was, I had a full day at work. By the time I pick up my kids and come home and then start preparing dinner, dinner's on the table very late. It's very stressful to get things cleared up and then, get the kids to bed at a decent time. There was really no mindfulness in that. So I started thinking, well, why is it important to me to put a fresh meal on the table and then we all sit together and have dinner together? And the realization for me was, it was about healthy food. It was nourishing my family. It was about having connection time with my family. And those were the most important aspects. So I started thinking about, well, how could I do this differently, but still honor those important things and those values? So instead of cooking this elaborate meal every day, I started changing how I did my meal preparation. And maybe instead of every day, started cooking every other day or every few days. That reduced the stress, it reduced the time it took. But from a health perspective, it was also very unhealthy for all of us to be eating so late at night just because of the schedule. So we decided as a family, we're going to all eat when we're hungry. So for my kids, that's much earlier. For me, it was before I even left the office. But we intentionally made that time in the evening, from the time my husband and I got home until the time the kids go to sleep, that we are together as a family. We are having community together. Whether it is doing homework or catching up on work, whether it's reading together, whether it's playing together, whether it's just chatting together, it is intentional, mindful time that we're no longer stressed about. We're all going to bed in a calmer mind. Our stomachs are no longer digesting late at night. And from a health perspective, that was a tremendous change. Now, of course, I got my mother kept asking me, well, that's not the way to do it. Family dinner time is so important. And I had to even go through that, mindset shift of what other people are telling me, but really focus on what's the most important thing for me, my life, my health, my family, my goals, right? And not to say
Yes,
we never have family dinner together. We do when the time is right.
when the time is right. For sure. Very well said. Dr. La Santa, totally, totally empowering. How did your self perception change from fat to fabulous?
That is a fantastic question because it's actually a question that comes up a lot from readers. And one of, or a couple of my friends said to me, I really don't like that title because you've always been fabulous. And I said, the difference though is you might have believed that I was fabulous, but I didn't. And so, as I went through this journey, what it was about is really how do I put my authentic self out there and be completely comfortable with that and not worry about what do other people think or say or do. And it's also a reason why I've built and created my practice the way I have, because I realized what I value in healthcare and how I want to care for my patients is not like the traditional system. It's different from what other people think and do and believe. And so I had to create it the way I value and is authentically true to me. So that's where I am at this point. Yes, the weight shed, and that was huge and tremendous, but a huge part of that was about how I think about myself. How do I treat my own body, right? How do I look at the way I do things? And, you know, how does this ripple to other people? And I'm going to throw myself under the bus here a little bit because in the last few weeks, I've been pretty stressed and busy. And just a couple of days ago, my 9-year-old son came to me in the morning and he says, Mama, you don't look good. You look so tired. And I said, yes, I am, because I've been so busy. I've been working till late. And he said to me, he says, you teach people the importance of managing your stress, about sleeping well, about taking care of yourself. And you have to remind yourself about that too. So I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect, right? But it's how do we at least incorporate that with what life throws at us, right? Life is life. Stress is stress. It's going to be there. But how do we manage it? How do we handle it? How do we tackle it? Is what's the most important thing.
Were there any unexpected lessons you learned along the way?
Um, yes, I would say there are. And I actually, um, there's another book that is just launched now called Survival to Thrival, which I had co authored. And the book is about courage. I co authored with 50 other authors. And in that book, I wrote about a story from the days when I was an EMT, an emergency medical technician. And I had a particularly harrowing call. Now, I knew from the age of 4 or 5 that I wanted to be a physician. And I'll go to that story and then I'll finish the other one. So when I was between the ages of 4 and 6. So this was when my grandfather had passed away. My grandmother had gotten ill. She had passed away. And then Michael Jackson released the song Heal the World. Heal the world, make it a better place
Place
for you and for me and the entire
the
human
human
race.
race
There are people dying. If you care enough for the living, make it a better place for
for
you
you
and
and
for
for
me.
me.
And that became the anthem of my life. It just stuck with me, it resonated with me. I knew I wanted to be a physician. I knew I wanted to be a person to heal the world and make it a better place for people. So that was my life trajectory. So when I was an EMT, I had this one particular call that could have completely changed the trajectory of my life. It could have caused so much of trauma, and it did cause trauma. But it could have been the thing that said, this is not for me. There's no way I can deal with this. It's too much, that kind of stuff. But instead, what did I gain from that? What I gained was the understanding that in a difficult situation, faced in that danger, what I chose was trust, courage, the person in front of me, working together with that person in front of me to take care of the people around us. And where the instinct would be to run away from that, that was so pivotal to realize, no, this really is who I want to be. And yes, there has to be a lot of learning and healing and care for myself in that journey. But just because it's scary, it's hard, it's you know things that nobody wants to experience, that doesn't mean it's bad. There's good things that can come out of it. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, right?
Yes, definitely. And Dr. Lasanta, as triple certified or triple board certified physician and author, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
My long-term goal, I'm going to start off with that, is really that I would like, on a global level, to bring awareness to people that, first of all, true wealth is real health. So I want people to learn and understand all the aspects of being healthy, and that you don't have to be super wealthy to do the basic things and understand the basic things, like how do you sleep appropriately, how do you manage stress, what's a healthy way of eating within your means, what's the best way that you can utilize your meals to maintain health, and from that perspective, wealth. So an example of this, I was talking to a group fairly recently, and um, the topic of my talk was really the 5 elements of health, but from a natural perspective. So people talk about cold plunging, for example, right? You don't have to go to a med spa or wellness center and pay whatever money to do a cold plunge. Just turn the hot water off in the shower and have a cold shower, or go take a plunge in a lake, for example. That you can get cold from that, and temperature variation from that. Vitamin D from the sun, walking on the earth is grounding. These are ways that are free that we can take care of ourselves. So that's, to me, the long-term goal is to educate, spread the message to as many people globally that true wealth is real health, or true health is real wealth. The short-term goal is to do that on a very impactful scale in my local community. And so, with that, I do a lot of community events with my patient population, as well as outside of my patients, because it's just really important to me to get the message out there. And like I said, heal the world and make it a better place.
Yes, health is wealth, and that's truly, truly empowering, Dr. Lasanta. And good luck to your goals and looking forward for more
Thank you.
success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
I think the most important thing to remember and consider is that everything that you expose yourself to and ingest impacts your life in some way. And by ingest, I don't necessarily mean the food you eat, although that's one aspect of it. I also mean the books that you read, the shows that you watch, the podcasts that you listen to. All of these different things are so important because it impacts your perspective. Sometimes it challenges your mindset. Obviously, knowledge is power as well. So for me, it's very important that every individual spends time and mindfully pays attention to what it is that they're exposing their mindset to, but also making sure that they are exposing their brain and their minds to different, whether it's books, podcasts, shows that are enriching to life.
Thank you for that, Dr. Lasanta. Truly, truly empowering advice. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Yes, I have a few that did. One, I'd say two books written by physicians that changed my perspective a little bit on how I am as a physician and from the patient perspective. But again, these are books not just for doctors. One is called When Breath Becomes Air, and the other one is called Being Mortal. Other books that were great, Hell Yeah or No was a great one to, only do the things that are most important to you. Otherwise, it's not worth your time and energy. And of course, Atomic Habits.
Yes, definitely. Truly, truly empowering recommended books, Dr. Lasantha. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101 Love Letters in its third season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcasts. And Dr. Lasantha, if you could give your past self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Um, don't fear being who you are.
Yes, don't fear.
Yep.
Go for it. What's
Yes.
your favorite fabulous indulgence that keeps you balanced?
I hate to say it, but chocolate. Chocolate is the indulgence that I have to moderate, of course. But
Definitely.
otherwise, I actually, going back to the things that you ingest, for me, it's important to not only listen and pay attention to the educational stuff, but also a little bit of the light things, things that make me, as I'm looking at your array of podcasts, I love that because we have to pay attention to the things that bring us joy, and it doesn't have to be fiction, it can be nonfiction too. But yeah, that's what I do, is sometimes I'll just listen to things that it's mindless, but it just brings another perspective to me.
Definitely. Dr. Lasantha Naidu. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your projects, or, of course, your Fat to Fabulous?
The best way to find me is through my website. That's www.lasantha.com. All my social media links as well as the link to my book are there.
Yes, people, let's support Dr. Lasanta Naidu because if you support her, for sure, more and more and more empowering advocacy to come, more and more empowering books to come. So, Dr. Lasanta, thank you so much for your time.
Love being here.
More to come, people. See you soon.